Welcome. This is take 2 of William and Catherine and the Law Firm. If you missed it, I did a reading on them the other day, and it was shocking. So the cards were showing that William has retained this law firm that his mother utilized for her divorce. And the cards were showing that there were some cracks in the relationship with him and Catherine. I was so shocked because I am fully Team Wales that I did not read the reading intuitively. I read it strictly inductively. And what does that mean? Inductive reading is we just use the canon definitions that are on the cards themselves. This is a good card. This is happy family. This is completeness, happiness, feeling well rounded and well grounded. So, just the canon meanings. When a psychic is reading tarot cards or I Ching or any of the other devices that we use, what'll happen is we use those devices to trick our logical mind into doing a task, like remembering the meanings of the cards, and our psychic mind will provide snapshots, input, sound, sights, music, all sorts of things comes through depending on the kind of clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience that you have. So I was so shocked that I could not even go into the psychic stuff because I was really afraid I was going to see something terrible. So what we're going to do in this one is we are going to examine with a little bit of a calmer mind. I've had some time to relax and kind of ease into it. And we're going to take a look and see what's really going on here. I've gotten lots of interesting input from even-keeled people that are not, coming for me with pitchforks and torches. So one of the things is that Harry and Meghan wanted to get a piece of the Duchy of Cornwall when the late Queen Elizabeth passed on, and the Duchy of Cornwall went over to William for management. Now, this manages millions, billions of dollars every year. And some of that money is filtered into the royal family, and Harry and Meghan wanted to have some sort of agency over that. Harry was under the impression that he'd have a co-regency. We all know that, according to legend, he told his mother, if William doesn't want to be king, I'll be king. So, there is some involvement there. Also, William has now kind of not out in the open, but he is possibly lending a hand with the Sentabali situation. So, we know what that is. So, let's take a look. I'm going to be right back. All right, friends, let's bring up that card view. Before I do that, hit the like button and know that I am going to be away later on this week. I'm going to try and do a couple of lives from my hotel room. I am rooming with my girlfriend, Lisa, and I'm going to try and do some lives so you guys can see what I'm up to. And I may do some lives from the road. We're going to have about a 9-hour drive ahead of us, but I like driving. So it's going to be fun. The Fitness Hutch is going to get pictures because he thinks that Ohio is this amazing, magical place. I told him not to get his hopes up because it's kind of flat and it's kind of just a regular state. So let's bring up that card view, hit that like button, and let's get going. I got lots of sales going on this month when I'm back. Lots of past life stuff. We're going to start doing a lot of past life stuff on this channel. So the first thing we're going to do is take inventory of the Wales' marriage. Let's go, guys. I'm going to try my best not to freak out. And my big pink quartz, Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. And I even busted out my James Bond Premier Super Golden Tarot deck. This is my deck that matches Catherine's dress from that premiere, right in the middle. The moon in reverse. Things are being revealed in this marriage. What are they? The Star, things in the future. Let's see what's under the surface. So that's a 6 of Swords there, but in reverse, 10 of Wands there. Temperance up at the top. Knight of Wands. Guys, it's still not a great reading. Still not terrific cards. This is not what I would want to see in my marriage spread for myself. The 6 of Swords is not progressing to and I'm reading psychically now. We are not progressing to another level. There is some I want to just say it's a quarrel. I don't want to say that it is a fight. I don't want to say that it is breaking the marriage in half, but there is some kind of a quarrel. And I do think that it has to do with the it's not the level of work, it's the involvement of work. It's the involvement. And I think I know that sounds odd because William is the heir apparent, but there is almost too much emphasis put on that position in the future. Now, I have said in my private readings, or in other readings, I shouldn't say the private readings, but I have said in other things that I do think that he is doing a great deal of work for his father behind the scenes. Is that true? The devil, yes, this is his lot. The Empress, he has no choice but to, and the Hangman in reverse, he has no choice but to rise to that occasion. Um, if this were another time and place, William would probably be out and about fighting battles for his father or negotiating with people in other parts of the country. He would not necessarily be sitting at a desk in front of a computer, with a smartphone in his hand or something like that. He would be out and about. So I do think that there is some good and some bad. Now, Catherine is just coming off being sick. Let's see. How do they see themselves right now? On the outside, how do others see them? As ooh, guys, hopes and fears, we get that unhappy family. But let's see if that is extended family. And then we have that 7 of Cups in reverse and the Knight of Wands. I'm so reluctant to look around the corners on this. I'm really trying. I do think, and I have said this before, I've made this prediction, future cast. The royal family is going to look very, very different as William ascends to the throne. How is that going to be different? I think, and I've said this before, that it is going to be more of a family business versus a anointed, sanctioned, or not sanctioned, selected family that will be the conduit to God and the people and whatnot. I do think it's going to be very different. And I'm wondering if William is doing that now. Let's take a look at that. Because that unhappy family, I don't think is the immediate family. So who is the unhappy family? Is it extended family or is it the immediate family? Catherine thinks this is too much change too quickly. It's too much information for the public after her being sick. With the king being sick, it's too much to start making these wholesale changes. She doesn't want him to do that. She wants him to slow down. So is it immediate family or distant family? They are going to be more of a normal family. Oh my goodness. So the goal is going to be a normal business family. William would be very content as a businessman running some kind of operation. He would be very content with that and taking the political part out of it. Um, that is inescapable, but it's almost as if he's trying to dilute that part of it. Now, some would say that, just outsiders would say, well, the royal family doesn't have much to do with anything, much ado about nothing. But they do. They are a political component. They are. And I think that William sees this as a natural evolution of the way that things are, and he is trying to craft the best version of the royal family after they are no longer in that position. It's so this is kind of a departure from the tradition. Um, and I think Catherine is trying to have him hold off a little bit longer. Um, keep the traditions as long as possible. Keep the status quo as long as possible. But I think that William feels that his family is moving in a different direction. Is he aligning himself with the WEF too much? Walking away. Knight of Cups. Page of Wands. This isn't something that he wants. It is something that he believes is the progress and the direction that they have to go in. Why does he think that? Why does he think that he has to go with this one world kind of federation? One world federation. Because frankly, I think Elon Musk is going to be president of the One World Federation. Sorry, I did say that. I don't know, some of you don't like Elon Musk, but like, I just think, call him Dr. Evil, call him whatever you want. So why does William believe that the world is going in this one world federation? So it's really a safety in numbers kind of thing. The Commonwealth, the Commonwealth is an economic structure that benefits different countries, with their alignment with Great Britain, but it doesn't make them part of the empire. They're not part of the Empire 2.0. I think he does believe that a one world federation will foster and encourage peace among people. There's still going to be pockets, in his opinion, that will need to come along eventually. Um, there's a certain kindness about him in his politicking that I think makes him an easier target. Makes him an easier target for criticism and for dangerous people trying to take advantage of him. Let's put it that way. So, but I think on the whole, as a representative of a people, he thinks that gathering more tribes together, unite the clans. You never say that to a British king. But I think he thinks that rounding up the people and having them together with, one common currency, one common leadership, he thinks that that will strengthen people, as will be earthlings then, not so much Englishmen, Americans, Canadians, Spaniards, Saudis. We wouldn't be all these other things. We would be in the You know, it's a very idealistic view. I'm just going to say that it's not really the best view. In my opinion, it's not something that I believe, because I think that um, that's based on an idea of people are inherently good, and I don't really agree with that. I think that there are some people that are bad to the bone, just saying. So um he is willing to try this, and this is almost the forging of a new world. He is there for it, and what he sacrifices on that altar is the exclusivity and the specialness of the royal family. And he brings them down not to be like super elite, wealthy, powerful people, but he really does want to come down and like be like upper middle class, or I don't know what it classifies as in England, but living the life that the Middletons lived. William's perfectly happy with that. He's perfectly happy with that. He's like, yeah, it's a nice life. That's why they live in Adelaide Cottage. So does his wife disagree with this? Does she disagree with the alignment? She has not been in talks. I do want to let you guys know. I know she hasn't been in the middle of this. Nine of Cups, Chariot. Oh, look, these are much, much happier cards. Past, Queen of Cups. She will be happy in any capacity. Her goal is not to serve. It's not to do charities. She's a very charitable person. But if she was stripped of all of her charities for whatever reason, say there's no royal family, there's no patronages anymore. If she was stripped of that, she would still be a happy person. She would still be a generous, altruistic person. But she would go to work. She would figure out where she was needed, and she would go to work, and she would draw a salary like the rest of us. She's not afraid of rolling up her sleeves. There is so much gratitude that comes from her for being healed and well. And I do think that, to some degree, there were so many of us that were rooting for her and sending, healing energy, love, and support. I do think that kind of helped her along somewhat. It's not end all be all. You really have to have a great disposition in order to combat something like that. And I do think that there's a level of gratitude for where she is, for the status of her health, and she's grateful for the unknown of her future. So whatever it is that is coming in the future, she's grateful for that as well. So if it is hard work and toil, she's happy about that. If it is a soft life of ease and comfort, she's grateful for that. She does want to continue to help people. And I think, this is somebody who, if her patronages were taken away and she was no longer part of the royal family, she would still go and like be a nurse. Like, I know that's like such a bizarre thing to say, but she would like go and be a nurse. Like, she would do that. So let's look at some of the trickier stuff here. So I think that they disagree on this, but I think she confirms it and says, whatever it is, I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for our children. I'm grateful for the opportunities that are afforded to us. So wherever we go, there we are, and we'll be happy. Right there, or she'll be happy. Maybe not everybody will be happy, but she will be happy. Is William working with this law firm to protect the Duchy of Cornwall in the event that the monarchy changes under his rule? It's a big fat yes, kids. That's why he's in there. The law firm does have business capacity. There's a tower. That is a revolutionary moment under the surface, protecting the duchy. Back here, that's our shirker. Justice in reverse. And the 8 of Swords. So I'm going to go out on a limb right now. Out on a limb. I think the duchy is going to be given back to the people to a certain extent. Now, I did see, just looking something up, William had announced the historic decision to end the last feudal restrictions on land ownership in the estate. So, I think that is the first step of what is going to happen with this 20 counties. I think maybe we're looking at returning a great deal of this to the people. And I think we are looking at returning a great deal of the properties, the royal properties, to the people, to the country. And I know that they don't actually own the castles and whatnot. They don't actually own them. But I think this is about saying we're not going to use these for our offices, and we're not going to do the upkeep with the Duchy of Cornwall money. We're not going to do any of that anymore. We're going to really, if the family and faces are slimmed down, I think we're going to see more of the properties and the financial generation change. The properties will be slimmed down. The royal family will not have the burden of repairing, maintaining, et cetera, et cetera. So they will give that over to the government, and then they will give the government the ability to manage those properties via duchy holdings. Is this to prevent Harry and Meghan from getting some of it? I got that Justice in reverse. Let's see if this is to prevent Harry and Meghan from creating a kerfuffle about it. Let's see. Yep, there we go. There we go. There we go. King of Wands in reverse. 7 of Swords in reverse. The Page of Pentacles. 6 of Swords. This prevents them from coming back. It does disappoint them because I think, and it's Death in reverse. We're not going to make any changes. There's that Knight of Pentacles in reverse, looking for money, not making money. This is a great idea. I got a great idea about how we can make some money, William. No, this is to keep their hands out of it. This is to keep Harry's hands out of it. This is also, and talk to me in the comments, but I don't know how this works, but I do know that desperate people that don't want to earn their own money will come up with cockamamie plans. So is this a cockamamie plan? I think it is. I think it's a cockamamie plan to come back and say, I'm broke, give me that. Oh, I crashed my car because I was out boozing last night. You have 3. You should give me your car. That's kind of the thinking. And I think that this is a very spoiled thinking generating from the way that Harry has conducted himself and the way that he's been handled by the people around him. I myself, I come from parents of means. They did spoil me to a certain extent. I can't imagine what it is like to be Prince Harry, where everything is done for you. There is no limit to the amount of money that you can spend, the amount of things that you can do, the amount of vacations you can go on, the amount of friends that you can take with you. The psychology behind that. He wanted to interview Putin and Trump and ask them why they were narcissists, and he wasn't. That's a huge question. Why does he think that he is not? Those two gentlemen, Donald Trump was born a little bit better than Vladimir Putin, but I think there is a bit more gratitude and understanding and hard work that went into um, their experiences. I'm just saying, for good or for bad. So how will this association with this law firm turn out? Will Wills have his objectives met, which is to reframe the royal family and the businesses? Hangman in reverse. Page of Cups, we've only just begun to live one days and promises. He's not. The rest of the family's not going to like it. Many people are going to feel locked out. So we heard a lot of rumblings from Prince Andrew talking about Royal Lodge when he was being put out on the streets and being sent to Frogmore Cottage. No one wants to go there. That house is haunted. So I think that there's going to be a lot of people that are going to feel put out. And I think William is going to really equalize the living standards for much of the royal family. And I think this is possibly why we're in Adelaide Cottage as well. Like Petite Versailles. Marie Antoinette had Petite Versailles, which was a small, like what we would call a gentleman's farm, I guess. He's going to take some time adjusting everyone to a new standard of living. The older folks in the royal family, the satellite cousins, those kinds of things, they're going to get a pass on this. He's going to maintain and manage that. The York girls, there's definitely going to be a conversation. Mike and Zara, conversation there, and Princess Anne's other child. I think that they are much less affected by this because they do live kind of a normal life and they don't have titles. As the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, their children have a much more practical experience than the York girls and Harry and William experienced. I think they really did get the full benefit of being royal family members, members of the blood, let's put it that way. So I think it's going to be interesting. So this is a little bit sad. I am a little bit sad about it because I like the big royal family. I like all the cousins. I know that there's been some issues with having people here, there, and everywhere. How does King Charles feel about William really slimming down this monarchy and moving to a more business model versus a royal model? How's Prince Charles? He thinks that this is a good thing. And we have that tower in reverse again. I think King Charles understands that the court of Queen Elizabeth II is gone. We will not see a royal court like that again in our lifetime. That the sun is setting on that, and it is very sweet to have the memories and the experience of being a part of that. And I think William's experience really did pare back when he was a bit younger. I think they really did start to, make it more of a, and I think his mother contributed to this too, making it more of a normal, commoner existence, as a commoner in inverted commas. I think it really, I think that Charles knows that we're not going to see that glitz and glamour and regality. We're not going to see that anymore. And there's not much that he can do about it. The modern world has caught up, and monarchy in the sense of what we have seen historically is just doesn't really have much of a place there. So I think that King Charles is okay with it. Just for fun, Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, what does she think of it? She is a fan favorite. What does she think of it? Good. She's like, good. Shake them off. I think Princess Anne is a very practical person underneath it all. I think she is a survivor. She is like my daughter. My daughter is a survivor. And if there's an apocalypse, my daughter is going to be up in a tree, taking care of business up there and watching all the other people panic. So I think Princess Anne is very much like that. And I think that while she lived a very posh and spectacular life, I still think there was a practicality about her in conduct and also in the way that she thinks about the royal family. Like, some of it is a bit ridiculous to her, and I think that she gets that from her father. So I don't think that she has a problem with this. I think she says, shake them off. Why do we need those crazy cousins living in, quarters and whatever castle house? I just think that she's fairly practical about it. So what about George? Prince George. Prince George. What about Prince George? Does this prevent him from being a king? Does he get to be Prince George forever? Is he prevented from being a king? King of Wands. Knight of Pentacles. This is an earner king. This is a CEO energy. It's not, I don't know if King George will ever be King George. I'm sorry, guys. I think we get a King William, and I think things are structured. And then I think Prince George stays Prince George forever. So I don't think that means he's going to be off the airplane or anything like that. But I think he is Prince George forever in charge of the business. So I think that is what we get. And I think he gets trained in business, not in politics and history and how to rule. I think he learns how to make money and ducats and pentacles. So that being said, boys and girls, I think I am going to cut it there. Hope I have redeemed myself. I stand by my psychic assertion that the royal family is changing and that we are going to see a much different royal family when William ascends to the throne. And I think that that continues to evolve and change until George potentially comes to the throne. So I hope you enjoyed this. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you in the future.